Hey everyone, George here. Slightly different video today. It's very windy in the middle of London. On the way to the Southbank to watch the Galaxy 4 animated reconstruction. It's due out in about a week and a half time. Big shout out to Dom for selling me his ticket because he couldn't go, so hopefully we can meet up in a future one. Yeah, it's quite exciting to see what this animated William Hartnell has in store. Okay, just sat in for the screening, starts at 12 o'clock, and so I think it should end up being about an hour and a half, 2 hours. So once I get out of here, because I can't record it, I'll let you guys know what I think of Galaxy 4. The music is funky, this is great. Definitely coming to more of these. I think I'm excited. Let's get at it. So, thoughts on Galaxy 4 animated reconstruction. That was probably the most fun I've had in a very long time. Very well done. The team that were there, I'll go into more detail when I get in, they were very good. Peter Purvis was there, nice surprise, very nice man. Some nice anecdotes about William Hartnell. The story, yeah, it's probably not one of the ones you actually want to be done, and they make a point of it. It's quite a cheap one and all that kind of stuff, but I really did enjoy this one. I had a really good time, a great, strange experience, and hopefully both me and Connor can attend one in the future, and a lot of Doctor Who YouTube royalty there, so hopefully we'll talk more about that later when I get in, so I'll see you up in a bit. Hey everyone, just like magic, back home now and here to talk about the Galaxy 4 screening that I was at the BFI. All in all, I think that's probably one of the most fun days I've had in terms of Doctor Who in a very long time. Completely out of the blue. Once again, thanks to Dominic G. Martin for his ticket. Does amazing stuff, like his audio adventures and cosplay, and is absolutely phenomenal, and such a lovely bloke to, you know, just give me the opportunity to go and see this screening of Galaxy 4. What is Galaxy 4? It's a lost episode from 1964. Oh, shit. 65? Yeah, 65. From William Hartnell. The first animated Hartnell story in a while. Let me just check what season. I think season 2. I think. I'm not 100% sure on my Hartnell because I only own about 9 of them, so I'm really sorry about that. Let me just have a quick on the old googly. First serial of the 3rd season. Yep. So then before that was The Chase. No, Time Meddler. Time Meddler. So it was The Chase, then the Time. So I'm just really confused because Peter Purvis was there, who played Stephen Taylor in the story, and very much loved companion to the First Doctor, despite the fact that we don't actually have a lot of his stories on hand to actually watch, which this fills in the gap of it. What do I think of the animations? Because I've never really sort of talked about them. I do own so I've bought Macroterra, Fury from the Deep, Evil of the Daleks? Was that the newest one? I don't know. So the last like 5 steelbook versions I've got and watched them, and I've really enjoyed them. I think Macroterra for me is the best in terms of the animation style, because I know 2D models of the characters on 3D backgrounds and that, some people are like, oh, it looks a bit crap, but it's good. The animation style still looks good in this one. Getting to the BFI, surreal. I haven't been there in a very long time. I haven't actually watched anything in there, I don't think, since, I want to say, a screening of Spectre about 5-6 years ago, which was, as far as I can remember, it was amazing. I like it there. It's very good. Obviously, it's not just mainstream films and that are there. They had a big display out for Last Night in Soho, but there's stuff like this, like little exhibition things as well, that I'd recommend if you are into film of any kind or any variety. Please go and check out the BFI at the Southbank. So we had, it's 4-part story. We had parts 1 and 2 to start off with, and then we had a chat halfway through from members of the animation team, which were, we had Gary Russell, the executive producer, we had Joanne Morris, the concept supervisor or designer. It was one of those, I think. And we had Marquez, who is the sound editor, who talked about the glorious fans because when Doctor Who was on in the 60s and right the way through to the 70s and 80s, obviously back in the day, people would record the audio straight off of like the telly, which is how we have audio tracks for I think basically every single missing Doctor Who story. It's how a lot of them are able to be animated because we have the sound recordings that are done by some amazingly faithful fans at home. It was David something who'd recorded who had literally one of the only recordings of Galaxy 4. And obviously like got him to stand up, had a huge round of applause because without him obviously they wouldn't have had any sound to be able to do that. And this one's still done by Big Finish Creative, which is sort of the new animation team that's doing them, because I know like for the last few animations before they got regularly set into this with Big Finish Creative have been a bit sort of vastly different, but now they're hitting sort of a consistent run in terms of what it looks like, the quality of the animation on the 2D characters and the 3D backgrounds, especially in this, look great. We watched them all 4 parts were in colour because obviously on the DVD release due out a week from today, funnily enough, is like with all animations of reconstructions, you have the black and white version, you have the colour version, and the surviving episode 3 will be on there as far as I know, which is I'm glad we watched the whole thing in the animated form. I'd be interested to see if there is an option to do episodes 1, 2 and 4 in animation and switch to live action like The Invasion, which was quite jarring the first time I watched that because that animation style has not aged great because that was a very long time ago. And it looks great. Obviously, they were talking. Gary Russ was talking about the fact that the animation team don't look to improve Doctor Who because you can't because it was made the way it was made and it's forever etched into some fans' memories that were lucky enough to see it. But for us, it's a way for them to make something that was made in 1965 and update it with a fresh look of 2021, which is why you sort of had they talked about the restrictions of the sets, like in terms of the planet itself, and the ability for them to just go, well, let's make it look like a big bright red planet, very sort of 60s sci-fi in terms of the colours, the scopes, the landscapes. Looked absolutely gorgeous, and they obviously can't say what they're working on next, but the sort of one of the questions that was put to them was that what happens like in terms of getting told, like do you get told what you're doing next? Do you sort of have like a big list and pick one? Like do you have a thing of like, well, we've got this surviving of this would be the easiest to do kind of thing? And it was but that Russell Minton, for the executive producer for BBC Studios, sort of comes to them and says like, can you do this one next? You're working on this or whatever. So that's what happened for Galaxy 4. It's a nice change of pace to have a Hartnell one because he's sort of been left out the most. The animation thing in terms of like my opinion of them, I like him because it can complete stories that realistically we're not going to find all of them. And Peter Purves even saying that he's sort of given up hope that they've maybe even found that they will even find any more now, because the last big find I think was around the 50th. We had a couple found then, and we're only I think 98 episodes away from a completionist thing. But where they're finding some of the tapes now that have been just deserted for so long that the quality of them, they are beginning to deteriorate. Anything you'll find now might take a lot more effort and time and money to restore, which is a great shame because I think Hartnell and Troughton will ultimately sort of be judged on a very different basis to other Doctors, especially for generations now and coming forward in the future, because they're going to be the ones that you're going to have to sort of remove yourself and just focus on the performance of the sound rather than, because the animation for this is a bit in terms of the story, right? So they make it right off the bat. They talk about the people behind the animation. They're quite open and honest about the fact that what they looked at for the surviving pictures and the surviving episode 3, and what they knew of it was that it's a very cheap story, and it was sort of, there wasn't a lot there, as judged previously by the small sets and that, so which has been able to sort of give it a bigger budget. So they said, in terms of like the animation background of it. And you can tell it's very, because some of the scripting it's quite funny. It got laughs in a lot of places that I don't think originally they would have intended for people to have found it funny, but it was a really nice atmosphere to sort of have these very sort of funny character moments that, even though they're not intended, like it was still nice to sort of have a room full of like 200 odd Doctor Who fans that were just laughing at everything, and it was honestly such a joy. Hearing Hartnell's voice, having the opening titles in colour as well, so the waves that happen in the opening title sequence for Hartnell are always obviously black and white, but because this version was in colour, it gave it sort of they gave it the same sort of colour as the Pertwee intro, the first one, with sort of like the way that it all sort of like spirals and waves together, and it's all sort of like reds and oranges and stuff like that, but obviously it was still with the original animation of the title sequence. And also Peter Purvis spoke after episode 4 because he was there. He did do a signing afterwards, but unfortunately I was not able to stick around for that, and there was a really long queue, so it was like I was short for time as it was, and the long queue of 200 odd people queuing up for a very funny man. It was a shame that I couldn't stick around and get something signed by him, because he bought some lovely pictures of him and Stephen Taylor, of Stephen Taylor with the Doctor, sorry, from, I don't remember what story it's from. It might be the Time Meddler, it might be the Massacre, I don't really know. I should really be better at classic Doctor Who. And he spoke about obviously his experiences, like his memory of the story itself, like what he could remember of, like he remembered most things, I think, apart from the driving ship, I think, was one of the only things. So obviously a lot of it was from what they didn't know. They sort of made their own environments out of that anyway. Talking about his experiences with Hartnell, what it was like film with him, some very lovely anecdotes, sort of make everyone feel nice and warm and happy before we went home and watched Jodie Whittaker try and beat the crap out of some Sontarans. It was honestly a really lovely experience, and I would definitely recommend anyone that gets the chance to grab a ticket for one of these events to please do so. There is another one in December, in 4 weeks' time, to coincide with the next release of the Doctor Who collection box sets, which they do. They pick a story from each box set, as they have done, and then have a special guest. It's they're watching City of Death for the season 17 box set, and Julian Glover will be the guest that day, which was not, because that was a nice surprise that we sort of got the announcement of, like, so like if you get to come next time, you get to speak to Julian Glover, which if I can grab a ticket for that, I would love to. If you'd love to see more of that, hopefully I can get Con down to one of these, because I know he would have absolutely loved it. Just sending him pictures of Peter Purvis all day. A lot of WhoTube royalty was in the building, which was quite surreal for me. I was 90% sure that I was literally a couple of seats down from Josh Carr of the Who Knew podcast, really great podcast with a plethora of amazing guests, both from the community at large and from actual, like, you know, bona fide legends like Sophie Aldred. It's honestly, if you haven't watched it, if you haven't listened to it, please do check it out on Spotify and or wherever you get your podcast from. And at the moment, doing the 6-part series to coincide with Doctor Who Flux, which the first guest was TARDIS Monkey. Yeah, that was out. I think it's out on every Wednesday for the next 5 or so weeks, so be sure to check that out. I saw Mr. TARDIS from afar, which is weird because I've watched him for like 10, 11 years, and that was quite sort of like, oh my god, I remember watching your Doctor Who reviews, and you're the reason I bought the Series 6 box set, because he did a big breakthrough in like all the features and stuff, and I was like, that was cool. I saw a large barnet of Adamata from a distance, because can you not recognise that plumage of hair? What a legend he is. I'm so socially anxious that thinking I was next to Josh or like seeing these people was like, I would have been afraid to sort of be wrong if I'd have been like, are you so and so? And it'd have been like, no, I'd just been like, oh, okay, grand, swallow me up now. Social anxiety, it's horrible. If I go again, definitely will talk to these people. Hope to see Dom there at one of these, so I can shake his hand and buy him a drink to say thank you for this amazing opportunity he afforded me out of the blue. And yeah, so if you're into the animations, if you're watching this, you're probably into Doctor Who and you're into the animations in some capacity. I would recommend Galaxy 4. It was fun. It's one that I think I'm going to rewatch when I get it. And hopefully, yeah, we'll get to go and see more of these things, because it's nice that we're completing the collections of these old stories that are sadly no longer with us, and hopefully there'll be a point in 4 or 5 years' time when we have all of them in some capacity, and we can watch all the way from Unearthly Child right up to the new Russell era, and some amazing Doctors that we're going to have in the future. Because without, as Peter said in his interview at the end, like, without William Hartnell, we would not still have this amazing show that is beloved by many and watched by millions around the world. So, sorry about the voice. I don't know what's happening to me. So yeah, please pick up Galaxy 4, releasing the 15th of November, so next Monday. Get your copy. Have you already pre-ordered it? What do you think of it? What do you think of the animations in general? Have you got a favourite? Are you not really bothered, and this may sort of sway your view? And are you planning on going to any of the Doctor Who BFI screenings? Please do let me know in the comments below. And as always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to this channel if you haven't done so already. Let's talk some nerdy things about Doctor Who, and also, we have Nerd Bible podcast every Friday morning. So nerdbiblecontent@gmail.com. If you want to talk to us about Doctor Who, then Connor will hopefully be there, and might be a bit gutted that he didn't come and see Peter Purvis with me. So I think there's not much more left to say, apart from we'll see you guys next time for more. Adios.